In this video, we're going to make a side axe. So I have made a mild steel axe body and I've also prepared an edge steel. And the idea is that we're going to forge weld on the edge steel to one side of the axe blade. But before we do that, we still have to make some more preparations on the axe body. So unlike a normal axe that's symmetrical and straight, a side axe is usually offset and flattened to one of the sides. And more common than not with a chisel grind. So we're going to start by forging the offset and then we're going to forge weld the edge steel. Alright, so what you saw me doing there was that I was attacking the profiles of the whole axe blade with the peen of the hammer. And the reason why I did that is because this is a very tricky weld line to blend. And by aggressively attacking it with the peen, it's almost like you're knitting a dough, almost blending them together. And the next step that we're going to do is that we're going to heat it up again, and then we're going to forge on those sides with the flat side of the hammer, and hopefully we will blend them together. This video is sponsored by Fume. We humans tend to breathe air, at least when we are alive, and Fume just made breathing delicious. With a whole range of flavors to choose from, Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. There are no vapes, no nicotine, no batteries or electronics, and no weird toxic flavors. All that you are doing is that you're breathing air. Regular air, but now with delicious natural flavors. If you're anything like me, you most likely have one or two bad habits. And that's where Fume comes in. One of their primary goals, nay, the primary goal, is to help people exchange a bad habit with a good habit. And they even include one of these 30-day habit tracker to keep you motivated. Not only that, but the Fume is also great if you need something to fidget with. So no more playing with my daughter's toys while we're watching a movie. The Fume can do it all. You have the magnet here that you can play with, and you also have a really nice clicking sound while you're adjusting the airflow. Yes, Fume has served over 150,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use my code Nils Ogren to get your free Fume base when you order the Journey Pack. It's the all-new magnetic stand for your Fume device. Head on over to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use the code Nils Ogren or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume base when you order the Journey Pack today. Thank you so much, Fume, and let's get back to the video. Alright, so I'm now done with the initial forging process, and I think the welds took properly. Now there is a small spot here where I can see that the weld did not quite take. I'm not worried about that at all. It's not in a critical spot on the axe. It's not going to affect the functionality of the axe at all, and hopefully we might be able to clean it out. We'll see about that. Anyways, it's time to refine the profile and start working on the flat side and the edge of the axe. Now I come across two problems that I need to address, and the first one is pretty obvious. The axe and the blade is not flat. Now to be clear, the only thing that really needs to be flat is the blade. However, there can't be anything behind the blade that's in the way when you're using it, and right now the eye is a little bit in the way. So I'm going to have to try and fix that. I could try and cold forge it in the right direction just very carefully, since this is mild steel right here. However, I want to be careful not to stress the material too much. Now the other issue that I have is that I found while filing the profile, I found that there were spots that were really hard. And the reason for this might be that when I was done forging, I actually put it in the vise to keep the blade straight. If you have one piece with high carbon steel and another piece with mild steel, it has a tendency to banana on you when you cool it down. So that's the reason why I did that. And most likely that helped to cool the axe a little bit too fast, so it got a bit hardened. So I need to experiment a little bit to see if I can temper this further, otherwise grinding the edge will take forever. So wish me luck, let's get going. Ja, den tar.
Den dongen, den lyfta grejer.
Ja, kolla man kan lyfta den här till exempel. Kolla. Kan man hålla så? Vad är det här då?
En yxa.
Nej, det är väl ingen yxa. Vad är det för något?
En hammare.
En hammare.
Eller en bika.
Ja, eller hamra. Kolla. Alright, so that worked really well. The eye is no longer in the way of the blade, and it seems like the file bites all around the edge, which is really good. Now one could argue that what I did was more of an annealing cycle rather than a temper cycle, and I wouldn't disagree with that, but it was the easiest way that I could think of. And fortunately, we didn't have any bananaing going on the edge, which is really good. So what we're going to do next is that we're going to work on the flat side, trying to make it as flat as possible. And then we're going to move over to working on the edge. Now I might cheat a little bit and remove some of the bulk with an angle grinder. That's only for speed. You can obviously do that with a file, but we're going to refine everything with a file later on because it's really good to remove any bumps and make it as flat and even as we can. So before we start working with the handle, one thing that you see on these types of side axes from time to time is that the handle is actually bent as well. And that is to help you get into those tight spots so that you don't hit your knuckles to the timber frame wall. So I've rigged up a little system here with my vise, and I want to see if I can pre-bend this handle before we hang the axe. Alright, so the handle has been sitting like this for almost a week now while I've been doing other stuff. Now I know that hickory is a really tough wood, so it's going to be interesting to see if it will still be bent when we release it from this position. And it's also going to be a little bit more tricky to hang it, I guess. But we'll see. I mean, it's not as bent as I first would have thought, but for practicing purposes, I think we did okay. You could probably have done this setup a bit more aggressive to get an even more bend if you wanted to, but it will be more clear once the head is seated on the handle how much it actually bends. So let's do that next. Jag håller på att sluta snusa, så jag är lite crazy. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. So in today's video, we made a side axe and I'm also giving it away. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave a comment and I will pick one out at random that would receive this axe. But remember to read the pinned comment. All the information about the giveaway is in the pinned comment. So read the pinned comment. So the side axe. So this was way harder than I thought that it would be. I had planned it out in my mind that it was going to be kind of a cakewalk and I could relax and do this on the side while doing other stuff, but boy was I wrong. This axe challenged me in every aspect. And it may not look much to the world, but all the details about the straightness of the blade and it being off to the side, it was really challenging for me. It's something I've never done before. And another thing that was really challenging was working with this edge steel. This steel is called SS2092 and it's one of those super steels that you can use for an edge. And I have a lot of it, but I rarely use it because last time I used it, it's super cracked on me and I've been a bit anxious about it ever since. So taking it on with a project like this is always scary, but it worked out really, really well. Now, side axes comes in many different ways and shapes and forms. And this is just my take on it. If you Google it, you will find many different types of models that have the blade off to the side like this. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The handle could have been a bit more bent in my opinion, but it was definitely good practice. So before we leave, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon and YouTube membership. You guys are the lifeblood of this channel. And also a huge thank you to Fume for sponsoring the video and thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.